Our staff has 10-plus years of experience as insurance adjusters, and we really do know the inside and out of the claims process at Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Check out Fleming Roofing and Restoration online at FlemingHSV.com, or you can call or text them at 256-651-9440.
Hey, Wes, we show up.
Tom Luganville here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Hey, Huntsville. Looking for action-packed events? The Huntsville Sports Commission is your hub for all things sports. From youth events to national tournaments, we've got events that thrill and inspire. Whether you're an athlete, a fan, or a volunteer, there's something for everyone. Cheer on your favorite teams, witness amazing talent, and be a part of the excitement. Check out our event calendar and get involved at HuntsvilleSports.com. That's HuntsvilleSports.com. Be there, Huntsville.
From the University of Alabama, this is Crimson Tide Today. Its daily update on Bama sports and is brought to you by Guthrie's. America's original chicken finger restaurant is an official partner of the Alabama Crimson Tide. For franchise information, visit Guthrie'sChicken.com. Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Hoover. On yesterday's edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, we were joined by ABC sideline reporter Holly Rowe.
One of the storylines that I'm really following is how this defense is growing and improving week to week. You know, it's a different defense. It's a new system. It's a new style. And I'm sure fans feel some kind of way about that. But as I'm talking to some of the guys, one of the players that I don't feel like is getting a lot of national publicity that I'm obsessed with is Jahad Campbell. So he is, I think, one of the most interesting players in college football. He can play all four positions. He is, I talked to him yesterday, actually, to get some notes for the game, and he described himself as a Swiss Army knife. And he was so cute. He's like, you know what a Swiss Army knife is? And I said, yes.
I'll have more in a moment.
Guthrie's was America's first chicken finger restaurant, and now Guthrie's Golden Fried Chicken Fingers is your Bama tailgate headquarters. Make Guthrie's and their famous signature dipping sauce your one-stop shop for all your tailgate needs. Order online or call ahead and place your game day orders now. Guthrie's, America's original chicken finger restaurant, and now an official partner of the Alabama Crimson Tide. For franchise information, visit Guthrie'sChicken.com.
We've got you covered for Alabama football on Saturday against LSU. Our radio start time across the network is set for 3:30 p.m. with kickoff at 6:30. Remember to listen to the game on the full radio network, the Varsity Network app, as well as watch the Yay Alabama booth cam on all CTSN social media platforms. Crimson Tide Today is brought to you by Guthrie's. Crimson Tide Today is a production of the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
There you are. Welcome in. It is another brand new live edition of Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond, welcome in on a Friday morning. 256-576-4977. That's how you can be a part of the program on this Friday morning. We've got a lot of stuff to get through, and last night was a busy, busy night. The high school football playoffs are off and running. Weird to have games on a Thursday night, but they did indeed get several games in last night, and several of them did involve from teams around our North Alabama area. In Class 3A, Fife gets a 66, easy for me to say, 66-30 win over Ohatchee in Class 3A first round. And then Susan Moore goes on the road last night and knocks off Decatur Heritage 35-27. So Decatur Heritage run comes to an end in the first round. Other scores from last night: Hoover over Fairhope 35-10. Sarah Land over Chelsea 42-3, and Vestavia Hills over Mary Montgomery 42-21. Bayside Academy over Hale County 36-6. And there you go. Just a little high school football on a Thursday night. We've got a lot of games coming your way tonight, and several of those you'll be able to hear right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Madison Academy's at Hoax Bluff. Westminster Christian Academy's at Cherokee County. Randolph is at home in the first round of the playoffs as well. So we got 3 games on our air over our network. So make sure you have the app downloaded on 97.7 ESPN, because going to be a beautiful night, I think, for high school football.
Well, we hope certainly that the weather stays away. The Anniston Bulldogs will be traveling to Randolph to take on the Randolph Raiders. And, of course, you'll have Bandyman Bailey Lowry over there, and, of course, Tyler Johnson on the call over at Sports Medfield. And a tough road trip for Madison Academy, but they beat Hoax Bluff a year ago, a school they're very, very, very much so familiar with. And Bob Gotts, we were over there yesterday, and he was locked in. He was getting his team ready to go, and no one better when it comes to the playoffs. He knows the formula and has been very, very successful. And Louis LeBlanc and his kids saw them last week, and I was very impressed. I mean, they got a huge task in front of them going to Cherokee County. He was the 2-time 4A state championship finalist. But again, you're in the tournament, so that's all that matters. And now it's what you do with it. And, shout out to Nikita Stover and Decatur Heritage. They had a really good year, but, they just ran into a Susan Moore team that had a great second half. And the alma mater of Ryan Fowler, the Susan Moore Dogs, march on.
All right, 256-576-4977. That's how you can be a part of the program tonight. Just kind of going over things from last night. Alabama does get a win in women's basketball, 84-59 over Alabama A&M. They announced the attendance at 5,639 last night at the Alabama A&M Event Center. Christy Curry saying, hey, it was a fantastic atmosphere.
It looked like a really live one, man.
A college basketball game. Well, I'll say this. Alabama A&M, they get the band in there. They get to going, and it can be a festive event for a sporting. I mean, it really can. It can be a good atmosphere.
Yeah, Alabama shot the ball exceptionally well and hit 8 threes, and as expected, led the way. Sarah Ashley Barker with 19. She did a nice job. Leah Nye had a good game. She
had 12, and Zay Green had 14.
Zay Green, 14. She's the young lady that played at Arkansas Pine Bluff last year and is a former McDonald's All-American that spent a little time at Tennessee. So, but it's great to have her at Alabama for her last year going after her master's. Coach Curry talked about that yesterday. But, yeah, the best thing is a lot of support out there, a lively crowd. We had a lively crowd over at Huntsville High, too, for the game against Bob Jones. The Crimson Panthers got off to a good start, 63-48 over a really good Bob Jones squad. And, it was a good effort last night. Josh Bowman, who's he'd been fighting, he'd been banged up a little bit, but he didn't start, but he played. He led the way with 14, 12 for JD Gossett, who joined us yesterday. JD had his usual great effort defensively as well, and Huntsville forced a lot of turnovers yesterday. And I thought, played hard. Bob Jones is experienced, though. They don't have a deep roster, but they're about 8-9 deep. And they have to play everyone, but they're not a bad squad at all. Caden Rickard had 20. He led the way. He was the leading scorer in the game, and he's headed to Murray State. And very, very good player, very smooth. He's going to be a tough matchup for those playing Bob Jones this year. And Jalen Rice as well. Jalen had 11 for Bob Jones, and Jacob Parks had 11. So they had 3 in double figures, and some young guys. Actually, the story for Huntsville High last night was the bench, and their bench played exceptionally well. They were led by Hudson Gossett, JD's brother. He had 8 in the third quarter. And then, of course, Evan Toms had 8, sophomore big man. They did a nice job of sparking Huntsville when Bob Jones made a big run. Bob Jones hung in there, and hung tough and was really good in the open floor and got to the 10. But Huntsville was able to, just keep them at arm's length and then put the game away in the fourth quarter. But it was a good high school basketball game, man. And it's great how we support basketball in the city. The ladies on the college level get a big crowd, and we have a nice crowd over there at Huntsville High. So it was a good night.
256-576-4977 on this Friday morning. Going to get you ready for what will be a busy weekend in college football coming up tomorrow on the SEC slate, on the national slate. Got a lot of stuff to get through. But let's go out to the phone lines. Mark from Spring Hill is with us. Good morning, Mark.
Morning.
Hey, morning, guys. I was going to get to a big upset I see happening on Saturday. But first, I know Steve Savarese real well. I know he's no longer the director and he's retired and everything. But did I hear you guys correctly when I heard Chelsea, who's in Shelby County, I used to work down there, played Saraland?
That's correct.
Yes.
What in the world is Chelsea doing playing Saraland? I guess they haven't gotten that issue fixed.
So, Mark, what they did in 7A, this is the first year in 7A where they've changed up the brackets a little bit. And so the regions, Region 4, which is our North Alabama region, Region 3 is the Birmingham region, Region 2 is the Auburn region, Region 1 is the Mobile region. In the past, Regions 4 and 3 would play each other in the first round. 1 and 2 would play each other in the first round. Well, they made some changes this year that kind of created a little pod system. But as far as opening rounds go, this year, Region 4 will play Region 2. Region 1 will play Region 3. So they changed it up this year so that you would not get the same matchup potentially that you got in the regular season most of the time in the second round. They were trying to avoid
This is the first time they've done that too.
Yeah, they were trying to avoid that.
Yeah.
So that maybe you would get a same matchup maybe in a state championship game or you'd get it in the semifinals, but trying to avoid a region-on-region matchup in the second round.
Okay, well, I've been in this business a long time on school education side, administration side. I don't think that would happen under Savarese. But, it is what it is. I just think, you don't have a Birmingham Metro team down in Mobile first round. It's just my opinion. So anyway, moving on, it wouldn't have mattered. I mean, Saraland beat them like a drum, but it's a long way to travel unnecessarily, I guess I would say. But let me give you my one upset of the week. Our little Miami Hurricanes, Drew, they're finally going to lose, and it's going to happen in Atlanta.
Nice.
Your thoughts on Georgia Tech beating Miami?
Well, it's I don't think it's out of the question. They have a similar playing style, in my opinion. When you watch them to Vanderbilt, they're going to have to control the ball. They're going to have to run it. They're going to have to play keep away from Miami, and then they're going to have to force Cam Ward into some turnovers. He's going to have a multiple interception game. Tech will probably have to score on either defense or special teams to win the game, but they need to make it a four-quarter battle. Miami's super explosive on offense. But I don't think it's out of the question. I mean, pretty much every game we've seen Miami struggle. They haven't been a juggernaut by any stretch of the imagination. So, Brent Key and those guys, they beat Florida State and Ireland, early in the season. So I don't think there's any question that they've got a shot at home in this game against the Canes.
And lots of times Miami's been playing with 12 players on the field.
Well, I mean, it was just like the end of that NFL game last night. You could smack a quarterback in the head. Yeah. It's just like in 2022 when Alabama's playing Tennessee, Bryce Young's getting smacked in the face, hit upside the head. If that had been Hendon Hooker, half those toothless clowns would have been wanting, 3 or 4 Alabama players knocked out of the game. They were targeting him the whole game, and the officials had their thumbs up their ass like they usually do and blew it. And so that's what happens. But again, and then there was a holding in the end zone. I mean, that last play was absolutely an abomination. That entire crew should be suspended. I mean, it's just, I know you have to let them play, but you also have to enforce the damn rules that you call all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking straight at it.
No, you agree in reference to the Baltimore Ravens 35-34 win over the Cincinnati Bengals last night. Questionable calling in that NFL game. It's like we've seen in college football all season long.
it happened 20 plus years ago. But I mean, if I'm the Cincinnati Bengals and I would have done the Bill Cowher. I would have had a printout of the rules. I would have taken it up to the official and I would have put it in his pocket. And I'd have been like, you can find me all you want, you clown, but you just blew the game. And I'm sure you'll send me I apologize letter in the mail or an email on Monday, but it doesn't. Who gives a rat's ass? You still cost me a ball game because you're a gutless coward.
And Drew, you know what? I was wrong. I said the SEC had bad officials, and the NFL were a bunch of great officials. And after watching that game last night, I'll take that one on the chin. Just because you're full time, just because they pay you $225,000, does not guarantee anything. I was wrong. I admit it. Terrible officiating last night in the NFL.
Mark, thanks for the phone call. Yeah, totally agree. And usually an NFL official, a salary overview. This is a salary overview of an NFL official. $205,000 to $270,000 annually. That is what an NFL official can bring home.
Well, and these coaches make a lot of money, but if I'm Zach Taylor, I'm just going to take the fine, and I'm just going to let them know that I think it's horse manure, and Joe Burrow took the high road. He just said, well, I don't expect to get those calls. We left some plays on the field that we should have made to win the game. But again, I don't think it's the players' place to criticize them, but I think the coaches should be able to. And the reason I think that after a game is because they never make these guys face the music. I'm talking about these idiot officials that make these stupid calls. They don't ever make them face the music. They do it all behind the scenes, and we're gonna fine them or we're gonna suspend them. Make them face the music and have to sit there and answer the question.
Now you can't talk about them afterwards. Otherwise, you will get fined.
Yeah.
You don't hear from them afterwards because they don't want them to be heard.
Right. But, I mean, I just think overall, after a game, a coach should be able to speak his mind. Yeah. And then, especially since these gutless cowards can't and it's a hard job, okay? But that's pathetic, okay? You should have to answer the question. Why did you choke on national television? And sit there and stare right at it and not make the damn call. Were you fan dueling? Somebody should ask him. It's a legitimate question.
An SEC official, by the way, on officials that work football subdivision games, and this concludes the SEC, they can make anywhere between $2,000 to $3,000 per game. For a season, they make roughly around $24,000 to $36,000 this season. You get more if you work the playoffs and bowl games and that kind of stuff. But that is how much they are paying officials on the college level. $24,000 to $36,000 a game or a season.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. B Rich is with us real fast. Good morning, B Rich.
What's up, man?
Good morning. Good morning, fellas. What a great night last night up on the hill, man. That is a fantastic facility.
It is. It really is.
It is.
Very, very much so.
And I'll say this. That is why I believe they would love to bid to host high school basketball regional here in Huntsville because of that facility.
Well, I hope they get it, and if they do, they should pay Alabama A&M's band whatever they want to show up.
They put on a show, don't they?
They do, and like you mentioned, Scott, that atmosphere for probably 3/4 of the men's game, it was completely packed out. The women's game, the crowd carried over probably till the end of the third quarter when Alabama really started pulling away.
Nice.
But it was, like you said, it was a raucous atmosphere. It was fun. It was exactly what I wish the Alabama women could play in front of every game at home. They had a better crowd last night on the road than they do when they play at home. So kudos to Alabama A&M for hosting. The president was walking around thanking everybody for coming. Just a really, really special night. And Alabama A&M's got a really scrappy team. I would imagine when they get into their conference season, they're going to have a very competitive team. But the first quarter was, they were playing off energy, and Alabama is just, I'll be honest, I'm sure they weren't used to playing in front of that much energy. So they started a little bit slow, but they got it going. Sarah Ashley had a nice game. Zay Green was very impressive.
Yeah.
And they've got a young freshman, Eris Lester, that really flashed her potential. So I think she's going to be a really good player too. So just a really cool night to have them come and play in our town. And, if the Huntsville Sports Commission had anything to do with that, kudos to them. But it was fun to be able to see my alma mater, where my daughter plays. My daughter's a manager down there. It was really nice to see that in Huntsville. So a really fun night. I'm glad Huntsville had a good start to their season, Drew. And I'll be honest, I'm a little bit nervous about this game down in Red Stick this weekend, but we'll see what happens. So look forward to the rest of your show. Big shout out to my boy Chip English in Hoover.
Yeah, we were fixing to talk about that too, because they got a big win, man, and they beat Fairhope last night, and I got to tell you, they got it. If he keeps, if he can keep winning in the playoffs, he's making a strong case to get the job permanently. And just shout out to him, because I thought he did a great job at Grissom, getting them to the playoffs and building that program. And I know he had a tough run at Albertville, but that's a tough job right now. But no question that I thought he was a really good coach. And sometimes it's all about opportunity and kind of timing. And it wasn't ideal with what happened with Gilmer, but certainly he's taken the reins and done a great job, beat Thompson. I certainly think he deserves an opportunity going forward, but a great win last night.
Hey, they're playing their best ball at the right time, and he's doing really well. So hope they make a nice deep run. But thanks for taking my call, fellas.
Thank you. Appreciate it, B-Rich. Yeah, and it's great that they had a really good crowd out there, a lot of energy. And Eris Lester, she's a freshman from Montverde Academy, and they just got a top 50 recruit from Montverde again, a post player did Alabama's women, and Coach Curry was talking about that. She's been there over a decade. I believe this is her 12th year, and like I said, the recruiting is starting to really get on an uptick, because sometimes with a coach, it's patience, man. You got to give them a chance to establish themselves, and then you have to understand the rebuild that she's gone through at Alabama with the women's program. You could argue when she went there that it was the worst program in the SEC. It had really fallen off. So what she's done to make them very, very competitive, and then to have a crowd like that come out for ladies basketball around the states is really cool. And
A&M did it smart yesterday. They scheduled the men played Oakwood in the first game. So, you're going to get a little bit of a bump there because it's the local crowd. 121-78. The men got a win over Oakwood. They set some scoring records in that game for Otis Hughley, the men's basketball coach. So congratulations to the Alabama A&M men. They got a win as well. Let's get a break in. We'll go back out to the phone lines when we come back. Plus, we've got Leonard's Losers, and we've got college football news. We've got all kinds of stuff.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a report of a stalled vehicle in Morgan County. This one's going to be 31 and Thompson Road. They've got law enforcement on the way to check for it. Still working with a clean slate accident-wise, and we have some fog this morning. Dr. Sandman has the Somnodent, a safe, insurance-approved alternative for snoring and sleep apnea. Dr. Randall Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
If you work in a dangerous or logistically intense industry, you know good training can be a challenge. There are training costs, safety concerns, and difficulty replicating real-world scenarios. There's a better way used right now in the Army and in all our armed services to better prepare our heroes, and it's available to you in your organizations. Higher Echelon's Game Development Team is revolutionizing learning in military training, dangerous industry, STEM, and sports performance domains with cutting-edge virtual training that immerses you in lifelike scenarios without the cost and safety concerns for trainees. With Higher Echelon's game-based training, you'll experience realistic simulations, precision accuracy, and unparalleled safety. Higher Echelon founder Dr. Joe Ross is retired Army who played and later coached for the cadets and puts that experience to use. His team has been building cutting-edge virtual training environments for soldiers and clients for a decade. Higher Echelon, the name you can trust for advanced training solutions. Reach out at higherechelon.com to get your free consultation. Go Higher and go Army.
Hi, my name is Dan Aldridge. I'm here to let you know about the Aldridge Law Firm and the soon-to-be-announced Legal Town Center. I've been practicing law in Alabama since 1984, and I also practice in Tennessee. And I'm from North Alabama, and I'm here to represent you and take care of your legal needs. For many of us, hiring an attorney is not high on the priority list and maybe a little scary, but it's something that we all need at some point. So by all means, do your homework. And if you need representation for car accident, wrongful death, medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, or estate planning, or any other matter, just give us a call at 256-534-3188. And you can email me at Dan, that is Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. God bless America.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. Flickering lights and hot switches can be annoying, but they can also signal a major problem, or worse, an electrical emergency. So play it safe and leave it to the experts at Mr. Sparky. Trust our team of professional, clean, and friendly electricians. We'll get it done right and get it done safely.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in the respective state or county.
The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Listen weekday afternoons starting at 5 on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
It's perfect.
Who can catch lightning in the bottle? Set fire to water coming out the nozzle on the fire hose. Fly and swatter. Cinderella Man.
Well, M&M. Peanut M&M sound good. 256-576-4977.
Lord.
Let's get in a phone call real fast. Jeff in the Borough. Good morning, Jeff.
Morning, Jeff.
I just one guy. That Drew, they did Vandergrift same way on the sidelines. Okay, in Knoxville. Do you think you're going to get calls up there in Knoxville? Do you think they're going to give you a call when you're in Alabama playing Tennessee up there?
Look, I'll say this though, Jeff.
Alabama hasn't the last 2 times.
I've seen the replay now 100 times of that. Was it the Tennessee player putting his arm out on the Kentucky player on the sidelines? Have you seen this?
He was running to the sideline and he had his arm. He knocked his helmet. Hit his helmet.
Yeah. So a Kentucky player was running all.
It was Vandergrift as a quarterback.
Yeah, he was running off the field. I mean, the play was going. He runs on the sidelines, and a Tennessee guy actually takes his hands and if he would have kept his hands down by his side, it would have been fine. But he does like a shove.
He shove his helmet.
And he says that, he was trying to prevent the guy from running into him.
That's a bunch of crock. You don't, please. They don't know what running into is. Please. Are you kidding? I mean, I'm asking you, Drew, do you think you're going to get calls when Alabama plays Tennessee in there?
No. I mean, the last 2 times, Alabama certainly hasn't got the benefit of any whistles.
I mean, nobody gets calls in there. That's why they're blind. That's why they're blind in Knoxville, Tennessee. They like their adult beverages bad as can be. They're like their dogs with mustard and range balls. They've got a new head coach. What's his name? They can't spell or pronounce it. They don't worry about the SEC much. They just like to fire coaches who win natties. There's nothing like the view from Trashy Neyland. Okay? When you fire a coach that wins a national championship in Phil Fulmer, and then you go through a Knoxville journalist wrote a book called Decade of Dysfunction, and that's what it was. It's like a friend of mine said, it was their punishment for firing him. They had to go through a decade of bad football till they got what they got now. Okay, so I mean, that's just what it is. And when you do that, like Auburn's getting their comeuppance right now when you fire Chiswick and Malzahn. When you fire them two and you got Freeze right now, I don't feel sorry for them. Anyway, I was going to ask you guys, what do you think about Napier saying?
I'm not surprised. We've kind of been saying on the show that it was trending that way, and he's got a quarterback in Lagway that they can build around, and they've actually played hard and improved. You can sit there and see it on the field. They're not like Florida State where it looks like to me they've given up, but Florida State's got the albatross of the contract that they signed Norvell to last year, so they're stuck with him probably for a year. But I think they've been playing hard. Okay, it's not a penalty. Of course not. You just put your hand out, knock him on his rear end, rock him vertical. But no, it's not a penalty though. Not Tennessee. It's not a penalty.
Let me ask you one final thing.
Not a personal foul.
these college officials get paid. Do they get expenses paid too when they travel? Do you know?
I would think so.
No, yeah, I'd imagine they.
I don't
would.
know, Jeff, for sure. I don't want to say, but I would be surprised if they did not.
I just didn't know because I didn't know if they flew or drove everywhere. I know how they got around.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That is a good question.
How they did that.
We could ask Steve Shaw that, but I would imagine they would pay their expenses. Yeah. I think they even get some kind of per diem in high school for the playoffs.
Yeah, I know high school here. I know high school here in Tennessee. They pay their mileage.
Right.
So much,
right.
They pay so much a mile. But what it is, if you're in that area, then you're not supposed. Well, people do it, but you're not supposed to claim it. But people do. But if you're out of the area, they pay you so much. When you drive, they pay you so much per mile.
Right.
So when you're doing, so that's how they do it here. But yeah, y'all have a good weekend. Thanks.
Thank you,
All right,
Jeff.
let's slip in Strawberry real fast. Good morning, Strawberry.
What's up, Strawberry?
What's up? I didn't think I was going to turn on the radio and hear a Kentucky fan and Alabama fan whining about Tennessee this morning. Oh, my goodness. What's up with that, Drew? Come on, man. You can't be agreeing with the Burrow man.
Well, I know what my eyes see, and that's all I can tell you. I mean, if it was on the other, if the shoe was on the other foot, there'd be a bunch of drunks in Knoxville that would be just raising hell. And they did for 16 years, basically saying that Alabama got every call. So the last two times in Knoxville. Now, I mean, I'm not saying Alabama didn't deserve to win the game this year, but they did in 22. They were flat robbed. But I mean, they weren't robbed this year. They just got beat. But I mean, they certainly didn't get any calls. But again, and then I still think they beat Kentucky too. That thing on the sideline. Kentucky played them good for a half, but it went about like I figured. I mean, I was sort of surprised Kentucky controlled it early, but it's kind of been the formula for Tennessee all year. They feel it out in the first half. They don't play great offensively, and I think 2 or 3 games in a row they didn't score in the first half. But their defense is great. The defense. Everybody's been complaining about their pass rush, but really, look, this is all I know. What you're judged on is how many points you give up. And so they have a top 3 defense in the SEC, and their defense keeps them in the game, and then their running game is outstanding, and they figure it out. And Nico's a good young quarterback, and that's their formula. I will say this: I don't really know that Alabama knows what they are right now, identity wise, but Tennessee does, and they certainly play to it.
Yeah, Dylan Sampson is the identity of that offense.
He's outstanding. He should be first team All SEC. He's having a great year.
Yeah,
I don't even know why he's not up for the Heisman, to be honest with you. I'm kind of, I know they talk about the cat at Boise State and Travis Hunter and all these guys and Cam Ward, but I don't understand why Dylan Sampson doesn't get mentioned, but he's having a hell of a year.
It's a bad year to be the best running back in the SEC.
He is.
It just is. But
yeah,
no,
and what's his name? How do you pronounce his name again? To Boise State, Ginty,
Ashton Jeanty,
or Genty. I'm sorry, I don't really watch Boise State, but Genty's a really good player.
I've had to learn.
Yeah, Ashton Jeanty. Where Josh Bates joined us in the past, he's seen him. He said he's legit, but I just don't. He doesn't play against who Dylan Sampson plays again.
Interesting stat. Y'all may have brought this up earlier in the week or whatever, but out of the 8 games Tennessee's had, only one quarterback has started and finished. Milroe's the only one to start and finish a game. So I don't know if that means they're dirty or they're physical or they're both.
No, I'm not going to say they're dirty. I mean, I didn't think they were dirty in the Alabama game. I thought Alabama didn't get some calls, but I think they're physical. I mean, in
today's day and age, Drew, what would have been physical 30 years ago is dirty now.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah, because think about it. Dallas Turner, I thought his hit on Jaden Daniels was fine last year, but I mean, Moscona and those guys that cover LSU, I mean, they wanted the guy deported like half these Democrats should be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, dude was standing on the sideline. I was at that game, Kentucky acted like their sideline acted foolish the whole game. They didn't at the end. These coaches just like running out on the field with time on the clock, and everybody's getting confused. The whole punishment deal he said for firing Fat Phil, which you hear me say that. I'm a Tennessee fan. He needed to go. Time was up for him. But punishment, bro. We beat y'all we only lost 2 times in that 10 years of punishment. If that's our punishment is to lose to Kentucky twice in 35 years or whatever.
Yeah.
Go for it, Big Blue.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's very true.
Yep.
But Kentucky's always sucked, always will suck, and they can't even keep their own basketball coach, and now they're getting ready for bragging season for Kentucky basketball. That's the biggest joke of a state. It's so crappy they cut the top of the hills off there. There's nothing there that's worth a damn. So anybody who's a Kentucky fan who lives in Tennessee might as well just be an MTSU fan, because that's the only blue that's going to win around you.
Hey, we hadn't heard that one. That's a good one,
That's
Strawberry.
a good one. Thank you so
Thank you, man.
much.
That's a good liner right there.
They cut the hills off.
Oh, they cut the hills off.
Oh, let's get a break in. We're going to talk high school football coming up next. Bob Gotze. Hey, our Bryant Bank team of the week going to join us.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly sunny sky this afternoon, maybe a rogue shower across the Tennessee Valley, but it does look like we are going to be dry all afternoon and even as we head into the evening. Going to be another warm day, temperatures climbing into the upper 70s and lower 80s, falling into the lower 70s for Friday night football. We eventually fall into the low and mid 60s as we head into the overnight early Saturday morning. A cloudy sky with scattered showers and thunderstorms through Saturday afternoon. Temperatures going to climb into the mid 70s, dropping into the mid 60s through the overnight. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Sounds like we may have a wreck in the west end of Limestone County, 72 near Hardy Road. Don't know that there's injury in that one from the sound of things. And we had a stalled vehicle reported in Morgan County, 31 and Thompson Road. They may still be working with it. Are you over 35 and overweight? 7 different hormones can make it impossible for you to lose weight. Find out with a free quiz at 2030huntsville.com. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Rich Eisen here from Monday Night Football on Westwood One. Join us all season long as we get you ready for primetime NFL action every Monday night. Along with Kevin Harlan, Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner, and the entire Westwood One team will take you inside the locker rooms and the stadiums for exclusive previews and all the play-by-play action. Every week on Monday Night Football.
Right here on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Are you tired of power outages disrupting your life? It's time for a Generac standby generator from Current Electrical. Storms may rage outside, but inside your family's powered up. So why choose Current Electrical for your generator needs? 1, we offer a wide range of models to suit every budgeted energy requirement. 2, our project managers handle every step of the process: power, gas, permitting, and inspections. 3, our certified technicians install your generator with precision, ensuring peace of mind. Don't wait for the next blackout. Call 256-880-1880 or visit us online at jetsuperstore.com.
Hi, folks. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, inviting you to come test drive any one of our over 100 F-150s. From rock-solid, dependable work trucks to our state-of-the-art Platinum Series, we've got an F-150 for you. Test drive one today, and you'll understand why the F-150 is the best-selling truck in America, going on 48 years in a row. Just as successful offenses and defenses are built on teamwork, Woody Anderson Ford is powered by our people. Our sales and service teams are well-trained to save you time and money. And because we want your business again and again, no one will work harder to earn it. Our mobile service teams come to your home or business for oil changes, brake work, tire rotations, and more. And the great thing is you don't pay extra for it. We come to you with mobile service at no extra charge. Proud to be local, family-owned, and at your service for over 62 years. Woody Anderson Ford, Alabama's F-150 Superstore.
Each week, they lace it up. Each week, we'll present our Team of the Week.
Get it in here. I got one thing to say.
So it's time for the Bryant Bank Team of the Week presentation.
And let's throw in a Sportsmed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, a little plug there as well, because they're the official training providers for our 97.7 ESPN The Zone Bryant Bank Team of the Week. And that is the Madison Academy Mustangs. And the Mustangs getting ready to put on the pads, the helmet, and the cleats tonight for round 1 of the high school football playoffs. when you're one of the 32 teams in each class getting to play tonight, you've accomplished quite a bit because that means you've made it to the playoffs. Now that journey begins to go and try to get that blue map. The next journey begins.
Yeah, and this is a young team at Madison Academy, but they've grown quite a bit this year, and we've been honored to be along the journey, and now they're back in the tournament. Live to the standard is their mantra. We have been joined each and every week by our next guest who's with us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. It was great to see him yesterday on the campus at Madison Academy. They were getting locked in for this road trip to Hoax Bluff, an opponent, ironically, that they played last year in the playoffs in round one, and they won very impressively. So they're very familiar with them, but now they must go on the road as the 3 seed in 4A Region 8, a very good region this year that was hotly contested. There was not much difference between the 1 and the 4 seed in this region, and we saw it last week as I was there at Westminster Christian Academy when they took on the Madison Academy last night. It was a great high school football game, and it's certainly this last part of the schedule has, and this the one what we're starting with Marsh Hill, really game 1 as well, has prepared them for this, and they'll be on our airwaves tonight with Glenn Laird and Steve Moulton on the call, and Coach Bob Gotti is now joining us to talk some Mustangs. Coach, good morning. How are you?
I'm good, guys. How are you?
We're doing well, Coach, and obviously you guys were getting locked in yesterday. Does it help to have familiarity with an opponent like Hoax Bluff that you have seen as recently as last year in the playoffs?
Well, I think we understand what they're doing. It doesn't make it easier to defend. They're old school to a T with some real new school principles that make it really, really difficult. When you see them play, maybe you're thinking, Coach Robertson's been there a long time and has an excellent program, and they're always a figure in the 4A playoffs, 3A playoffs, whichever class they may be in. And but they do what they do, and they do it really, really well, which makes it tough on opponents. So like I said, we've been there, we've done that, but they're really good at what they do.
Well, Coach, to get to this point, to get to the playoffs, we've talked each week, and you've been proud of how this team has grown and matured over the 12 weeks or 11 weeks of the regular season. To be at this point and to be in round 1 of the playoffs has to be good. Now, take us through this team. Where are they at mentally right now going into round 1 tonight?
Well, I think we're in a good place. Probably, we got a couple of guys that won't play tonight. We've got some sickness, and we've got some, an injury or two here that may limit some guys. That's part of it this time of year. You battle your way through it. But, I feel like we have grown each week and playing better each week. And kind of developed our personality, which we, a little bit more of a defensive team than maybe, we've been the last couple of years, and we kind of rely on those guys. And then offensively, as young as we are, we continue to get better. And let's face it, at the end of the day, it's about scoring one more point than your opponent, whatever that takes. So I'm proud of our guys. I think we've grown. I think we're continuing to get better. The mood this week has been outstanding. They're excited about being in the playoffs. We're going to load up and go see what happens.
And, Coach, I wanted to ask you something, too, and I think I've delved into it each time we've had you and you've gone into the playoffs. And each year, every team is different, but you've done this for a long time. You built a perennial playoff program in Killen at Brooks High School. You won a state championship, and you were very consistent at Hartselle. You've taken the formula and gone to Madison Academy. And, of course, they had success before you got there at both Hartselle and MA, but you put your own stamp and style on a program. How do you foster that mentality? Because football is hard. It's a hard journey. It basically is in thirds in a way. You play 5 games and you play another 5, and then if you want to win a state championship, you got to play 5 more. It's a 15-game gauntlet. But how do you keep kids locked in and their minds right to want to play for that long of a season, from when you start in the summer, and it's really become a year-round thing, but you're in the spring, you're in the summer, and then you go all the way through until early December? How do you keep that mentality?
Well, I think that's a great question, and we talk a lot about it, especially this time of year, in that,
there will be some really good football teams tonight that will get beat, and maybe even happened last night that, simply are tired of playing. And, and it's, you mentioned the three segments of 5, 5, and 5, and that we approach it a little bit like that. We do our best to keep things simple, make it a daily process. So by the time we get to the playoffs, that process really doesn't change in terms of how we go about things. The message is not the same. It's just about, really as simple as trying to be better each day and, get better each day. And that's something that we feel like that not only will help us be successful throughout a long season, but it will help them be, successful throughout life. It's something they can carry away from here. You got to kind of gauge, I think, the team in terms of reading them as you go through the season, in terms of the workload that you can put on them. This is a younger team, and they have a lot of energy, and so the workload for most of this season has been pretty strenuous. When I talk about that, just talk about how physical practice is and things of that nature. What you put on them. Jamie Riggs told me a long time ago, as I was talking to him about being able to, make long runs, because he certainly did that a lot at T.R. Miller. And, he told me then, he said, you got to start playing for a 15-game season, and you make adjustments throughout the year on your practice load and your mental load and all of that type things, preparing to hopefully play, 15. But really, Drew, it's about just that daily. I don't like to use the word grind, because it's really not. It's just that daily focus that we all have to use, and you're trying to teach that to these young people and get them to buy into it. And I think this group is understanding it more and more each day.
Where is this team? In what aspect of the game has this team improved the most on from the beginning of the season?
Well, I think the biggest thing has just been confidence. We went from the beginning of the season of, really, like I said, we started over. So we had a lot of guys that had not been in the fire and been in the fray, and just the confidence to be able to understand what they're supposed to do and then go out into a pressure situation and do that. And there was, a couple of games there early where it took us a quarter, it took us a half, to kind of get things going. And once we just continued that, daily repetition of doing things a certain way and doing it right, and our guys, began to gain confidence in themselves as well as the guys around them. Early on, a lot of people want to know what was wrong with AJ Rice and this, well, a lot of it had to do with the guys around him. The better they played, the better he played. And, that's true for everybody on our team. The better our O-line played, the better our quarterbacks played. The better, Josh, what's wrong with why ain't Josh gaining yardage? Well, we had to be better up front. So confidence, I think, is the biggest issue as we grew and began to have some success and having confidence in themselves, with some wins and some success across the board.
Well, Coach, the last 2 weeks, it was basically playoff games against Plainview and against Westminster, and seeing the Westminster game, I was able to watch Madison Academy twice this year on the road at Arab, and they're another team that played a very difficult schedule, and I think are probably a better football team than their record indicates. But the feel and the flow of the game, especially this past Friday night, felt like a playoff game against Westminster, especially from the physicality standpoint and watching the line of scrimmage.
Well, I think so. And, each game kind of takes on its own personality, and that became kind of the grind it out, knock each other around type thing. And that's exactly what we'll get into tonight with Hoax Bluff, because they want to grind on you as well as Westminster tried to do, last week, and did a good job of it with the big back. But each game kind of takes on its own personality. If we hit some of the big passes early in the game, maybe, we get them to spread it out more, and that changes the whole personality of the game and that type thing. So, the same thing would be, true tonight. It'd be important for us to try to get a lead and put a little pressure on them on that grinding it out part. To do that, obviously, you got to be able to get some stops and be better on first down than we were a lot of times last week. But I've said it many times before, and it's really no different. You play all night for those 3 or 4, 5 plays in a game, and you hope you can make those plays and move on.
Coach, take us into the X's and O's a little bit of tonight. What do you see and what have you seen from Hoke's Bluff on film?
Well, they're like I said, they're a little bit old school. They'll still line up in the eye at times. There are 2 backs in the backfield a lot of times. Counting the quarterback, there are 3 backs back there, and they do an excellent job of running kind of an old school from appearance offense. A lot of downhill runs. Leads, powers, things of that nature with the old school sets and old school appearance, but they've added a little changes here and there that really puts it difficult on you. And it's all about, creating, an extra gap on you. And we just have to do a really, really good job up front of being where we're supposed to be. And, Coach Stiles tells them every day you draw up a play, there's a line drawn to everybody up there to be blocked. And, it comes down to being able to get off those blocks and making plays. And it gets tough in there as it was last Friday night. And we're going to have to come up with some stops against, a power running game, which they, like I said, they do a really, really good job of that. One way to combat that is, having some sustained drives offensively, or explosive plays where maybe you can get a lead that kind of takes them out of their game a little bit. And that'll be a big part of the game as well. Can we keep the ball, or can we get explosive plays to maybe get a lead that takes them out of what they really want to do?
And Coach, I just watching the 2 games I've seen, you mentioned it earlier in the conversation, but just very, very close to making big plays in the passing game. And maybe when it matters the most in the playoffs is when these plays are made, because the plays have been there. The receivers have been open. It's just, and I know you have a young quarterback in Charleston Owens, 2 young quarterbacks really, and Alex Crider as well, but just a shade away from making some big vertical plays. And in playoff games, it's the old adage, the 4 or 5 plays decide a game, but very close to connecting.
Well, I think we're better at that. And I think last week, when you look at it, yes, we had, I think 3 or 4, open guys early in the game that maybe could have changed the game. But at the same time, Charleston was 6 for 6 on drives where we had to have it.
Yeah.
Right before half,
right.
We needed to score to tie it in a 2-minute deal. He went 3 for 3 late in the game when we eat up 6 minutes of the clock to put the game away. He was 3 for 3. So obviously we'd like to have those deep balls. We'd love to have them, in a couple other games this year where we just missed out. So that's part of it. We're going to keep throwing them, and we got some guys that can catch them, and hopefully we've been saving them for now.
Absolutely.
Biggest X factor to get the win tonight on the road?
Biggest X factor tonight is just going to be toughness. And you're on the road to start with, and what they do requires you to be tough and hard nosed and physical in there. So we're going to have an extreme, a tough effort across the board. Like I said, we're down a defensive player, so we're going to have to, rally around that. And then offensively, once again, either long sustained drives for points or explosive plays, to hopefully get them out of their comfort zone, and then once again be dominant in the kicking game. Getting Neil Radak back has probably been, you asked earlier, what's been one of the biggest things. Getting Neil Radak back as our place kicker and our punter has made a huge difference in our game. And teams having to start on with after kickoffs on long drives. Neil's been solid with the field goals. Even though we haven't punted a lot since he's been back, the times we have, he's been excellent there. So having him back has really helped solidify our kicking game as well.
Well, and I remember vividly so well when you won a state championship in 2011 over Viger. The kicking game was very vital and integral to winning that state championship, and especially in the state title game itself.
Right.
It was in 6A. It was a tremendous game, and they keep.
Well, it was an important part, unfortunately. Last year.
Right. Yes, sir.
We started every drive at the 20. Unfortunately, they did not. So, big part of the game, certainly.
It certainly is. Well, Coach, we're honored. We hope you have safe travels. We hope we're talking next week, which means the Mustangs are still alive. And again, congratulations. We really appreciate our great friends at Bryant Bank and recognizing your team, well-earned Team of the Week.
Well, we appreciate that very much. And like I said, this team is deserving of that. And they've had the best thing about these guys, they just continue to fight. They'll do that again tonight. Appreciate you guys very much.
Yes, sir.
Thanks. Bob Gotze, kind enough to join us ahead of tonight's showdown with Hoax Bluff. You'll be able to hear the game 97.7 ESPN, the Zone 2 tonight. Steve Moulton, Glenn Laird on the call in Hoax Bluff. That'll come up tonight. Let's get a break in. We're going to wrap this whole hour one up next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
They were checking on a possible wreck in the west end of Limestone County. 72 near Hardy Road had a couple of trucks off in the median there. Had a stalled vehicle reported 31 in Thompson Road in Morgan County. And we got lots of fog this morning. You be careful as you make that trip in. From routine care to heart failure, Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialists on Bob Wallace have the expertise to care for all matters of the heart. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Eagle Masonry and Installation. It's right there in the name. Eagle is your one-stop shop for block, stone, or brickwork, monument signs, and outdoor kitchens and fireplaces. Eagle also offers the finest craftsmanship and insulation, including fiberglass or spray foam insulation, and of course, insulation removal. Philip Love and his team have years of experience, bringing the region the best in masonry and insulation services. For more information and a quote, visit insulatewitheagle.com or call 256-755-1556. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
You don't have to go somewhere else just so you can go somewhere new. Plan your next vacation with Huntsville International Airport and Breeze Airways. Enjoy friendly, convenient, nonstop travel to some of the most exciting destinations in the U.S., including the home of 12 world-famous theme parks, Orlando, Florida. With flights starting as low as just $49, Breeze has got you covered with easy, breezy, nonstop flights to Orlando. Make all their dreams come true. Book nonstop to Orlando now at flybreeze.com.
You need a lawyer and pick up the phone. I'm attorney Gary Lackey. When you call for a lawyer, where does that phone ring? My phone rings in my office.
I'm attorney Justin Lackey. My phone rings in my office too.
So does mine. I'm attorney Jennifer Lackey. And when you've been hurt and need help, we're the ones who take your call.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com. Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
Welcome back. Hour one just about done here on Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Just flies.
Oh, it does, doesn't it? It flies when you are having a good time. That is exactly what we've done this morning so far. Coming up here in hour number 2, we're going to talk Westminster Christian Academy football. They've got a tall task tonight. They've got to go on the road and take on Cherokee County. Cherokee County's pretty good, but Westminster Christian Academy has been playing some really good football all year. And I know it's not the matchup that you would want, but it's a matchup that Westminster Christian Academy, I think, thinks, hey, you know what? We can go on the road and we possibly could get this done.
They looked like a playoff team last week. I mean, just watching them play against Madison Academy along the line of scrimmage, Evan McClure at running back, tough, leathery guy. They do some old school things, lining up in the wishbone, using one of their offensive linemen as basically a short yardage fullback. I mean, they look like a tough, physical, good football team. I'm going to be honest with you, man. Coach has told us about this kid all year, but I got a chance to watch him play in 3 phases last week, and it doesn't take a long time to get a man crush on Cal Tinsley, and that's all I'll say. The guy makes unbelievable catches as a receiver. He breaks up passes at DB, and then he goes out there and drills field goals that you can tell would have been good from close to 50 yards, and he punts. I mean, I'm just sitting there watching this guy, and I'm like, this dude's amazing. He's like a Swiss Army knife, and Coach has already told us about his mentality, and he's an outstanding talent. I mean, there's no question in my mind, and there's a lot of good players in the area, but he's probably kind of an unsung hero type guy. But man, that guy's a playmaker. I can assure you that. I think just watching his leg and everything, I definitely think he's a guy that could kick on the college level. Now, the college level's tough right now because, I mean, again, with the uncertainty of the situation, and now that you've voted out some jackasses and voted in some that have some sense, hopefully the college athletics landscape can, guardrail itself and there can be some clarity and give more kids an opportunity. But he's a young man that's absolutely a really unique player and an outstanding talent.
Carson Tinsley. Remember the name.
Boy, he can play.
Hey, James Clemens is at home tonight. They're taking on Central Phoenix City.
Man.
Oh, you've got Austin. They're at home tonight. They're taking on Enterprise.
That's a couple of good matchups right there,
That's 7A. We'll run down some more. We'll talk to Coach Louis LeBlanc coming up next.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. This action update is brought to you by GBank. Earn cashback rewards on every eligible gaming transaction. VSiN.com/GBank.
Top 25 football this week. Number 2, Ohio State favored by 38 against 1-7 Purdue. The Texas Longhorns, number 5 in the nation, by 22.5 at home against Florida. Number 8, Indiana, looks to go to 10-0. They're favored by 14.5 at home against Michigan. Number 17, Iowa State by 3 at Kansas. Number 1, Oregon's a 25-point favorite against Maryland. Number 7, Tennessee by 24.5 against Mississippi State. Number 10, Notre Dame's a 26.5-point favorite against Florida State. Number 11, Alabama by 2.5 at number 15, LSU. That's the VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. I'm Chuck Sanders.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
This hour brought to you by SportsMed Orthopedic and Spine Center. Online at sportsmedalabama.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
Welcome back, Hour 2, Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond, SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, dedicated to providing care that improving lives, helping us kick off hour number 2. We've been setting the stage for what will be a fantastic weekend of SEC football, as well as a fantastic night of round 1 of the high school football playoffs. We ran down some of those 7A games that you can journey out to. How about this? Hartsell's going to be at home tonight taking on Minor. Buckhorn's on the road at Oxford. You got Coleman on the road at Parker. Muscle Shoals is at home tonight taking on Mortimer Jordan. Those are some of the 6A games, but Class 4A has our big-time attention. Randolph will be at home tonight taking on Anniston. West Morgan at home taking on Fayette County. And then you've got Class 4A Region 8. You've got Westminster Christian Academy on the road tonight taking on Cherokee County.
Yeah, it's going to be a heck of a matchup. One of the more intriguing first-rounders. And we talked about it being a rematch with Madison Academy and Hoax Bluff in round 1. This is a rematch of a semifinal game in 4A that was hotly contested. With Cherokee County, they're an outstanding team. Two-time 4A finalist, and again, it was a game that was a tough one for Westminster last year because it ended a journey of a special group of young men. I still think the best team they've had in school history, but certainly they had an unbelievable playoff run, winning 4A Region 8 last year, and then making that deep semifinal run, which is as far as they've ever gotten, and before they finally were subdued by Cherokee County. But it was a great run. And this year they're back. They're a true program, and what I mean by that is they're expected to make the playoffs now each and every year. And as I said, I got a chance to watch the game last Friday night over at Westminster. With Steve Moulton and Glenn Laird were on the call, and then so was for our other side, Josh Carey was on the call with Jimmy Lay, and they'll be on the call tonight in the playoffs. So we had 2 crews over there, but it was a great atmosphere, great crowd, and it felt like a playoff game watching those 2 teams battle it out in the 21-17 Madison Academy win. But we're going to talk about that and more with our next guest. He's taking his Wildcats back to Cherokee County tonight in round 1, and that's Louis LeBlanc. Coach, good morning.
Hey, good morning, man.
Hey, Coach, and I mean, I couldn't help myself before we brought you on. I mean, you told us about him all year, and I'll be honest, I've seen highlights and stuff, but it was my first chance to see Westminster play a complete football game. But it didn't take me long to get a man crush on Carson Tinsley Friday night. I mean, that guy. Making unbelievable catches, breaking balls up on defense. And then what he does as a kicker, which I think is college level-esque, that young man's a heck of a football player.
He's a weapon for sure. And it's been awesome to see Carson develop. And we were looking for him to make an impact last year. He got hurt early on against Randolph, but came back and finished the season and had an injury toward the end of the year. But just his limited time he had with us last season, he made an impact, and then got in the weight room. He's grown. He's gotten faster, and he's just the kind of kid who gets it. He understands the game. He understands how to fit within the game plan, and you saw he's a weapon in all phases of the game for sure.
Coach, take us inside that Madison Academy game. Hard-fought game. A few
really
plays
enjoyable
here,
to watch.
a few plays there. It's a different outcome, and you guys could have been the 3 seed or still on the road, but still it came down to, just a few plays here and a few plays there.
Yes, sir, it did. And those are hard games. You feel like you played well enough to win, but you come up short. And so there's a lot to learn from that game. I'm very proud of the guys and the way they handled their business, the way they how they approached the game, how they approached their week. We had several guys out with sickness. We've been battling injuries and overcoming lineup issues all year, and to see guys just step in and play and do well and against a really tough opponent was. I told the guys they took a step forward for our program with the way they handled the adversity and the way they handled the opponent, their mindset and their confidence. I saw it from them from Monday on, and that it's just, you hate to see it end in a loss, but there was a lot of things that I believe that helped push our program forward that happened last week.
And then, Coach, I asked this of Bob Godsey, and you've done the same thing with your program and made a deep run last year and made the playoffs perennially with this program now. And you kind of self-reflected with us last week after your first year coaching at the school about some decisions you made going forward to build the program. But it's an interesting situation when you play a long season like this. A year ago, you guys basically played 14 games and nearly got to game 15. How do you keep kids locked in to want to play what is such a long journey of a high school football season when you talk about the off season, spring football, and then the summer, and then all the way through to keep them motivated, locked in, and wanting to continue to play and not be tired of playing, so to speak, because of the grind of football?
Yeah. So if all you're doing this for is football, well, I believe you've lost. There has to be something more. If I'm going to spend close to 6 months with a young man,
right.
There's got to be a relationship there. There's got to be something more than just what he can do on a football field. And even if you go 15 games, 6 months for 15 opportunities is a pretty steep investment by a young man and his family monetarily and obviously with their time. So asking these guys to discipline themselves to be able to compete against teams like Madison Academy or Cherokee County. I mean, that's a huge commitment, and it has to be more than football. So we're all about relationships here. We have this wonderful platform of football that I can't waste it on simply what blitz are we going to call and what route combinations and what blocking schemes we're going to employ. It's got to be something more than that for these young men. And not just for the guys that are starters and major contributors, but for those guys that are not maybe seeing the field as often. There's got to be something more for them, and so that's what we focus on, and trying to show them the why we do things, and when they buy into that, then they want to do those things, and that makes coaching so much more enjoyable, and I believe that you can get more out of them in the end. But for us, it just can't be football as our focus. And so we talk about coaching the person first and the player second. And I'm going to deal with him more as a person than a player in those 6 months. And I've got to be adding value to the person, not just the player. So I guess that would be our answer to that. How do you keep them motivated for that length of time?
Yeah, we had the privilege last week of spending a few minutes with your team at the pep rally.
Right.
And
what an environment.
Yeah, what an environment. Kudos to the school, by the way,
wow.
for a heck of an environment. I
the
think
mattresses survive,
we
man.
forgot to introduce you as the sensational or insatiable head coach, by the way. But
wow.
What I took away from it was just seeing the fact that this is a team. It's not a bunch of individuals. You have created, and your staff have created, a team environment there, and exactly what you were just talking about. This is a team, but it's like a family.
Oh, 100%. And I just had a long conversation with the coaches on our last meeting after our first meeting after the Madison Academy game, and I told them that what they built is incredible, and I, as a head coach, I get to see it. I haven't coached a position in 3 years. I've just been focusing on being a head coach, and I've stepped away from calling the defense. I haven't done that in 3 years, and so I'm just a head coach, and I meet a lot with the coaches and talk to them about issues, and I do get my time with the guys, but they're boots on the ground with these guys, and they're taking the things that we talk about in staff meetings, and they're making it happen. And I couldn't do that by myself. And I appreciate you saying that and recognizing what we build. But you were right in saying that what the coaches have built has been amazing. The staff I have is they've bought into that vision that I've tried to project here, and they're running with it. And I believe we're seeing fruit from it. And we've got a long way to go. We continue to grow and improve what we're doing. But I love our team. I love the attitude. I love the fact that I've got coaches that buy in, and that helps players buy in. And ultimately, that's what I want. If we win some games along the way, man, it's even better. But it's a lot more fun when you're making the impact on that person. The wins are sweeter, and the losses are easier to get through because you're getting through them together. You're not pointing fingers at each other, and no one's elevating themselves in a win either. So things are just better together. So that's what we're focused on.
We're talking to Louis LeBlanc, head football coach of the Westminster Christian Academy Wildcats. Made the playoffs 6 of 9 seasons under his leadership, including this year. And of course, coach, literally and figuratively, this is a huge challenge going to Cherokee County. This is a program that's very proud. They've been to 2 straight state championship games. You certainly saw them a year ago. I saw them 2 years ago against Randolph as well in the 3rd round. Just a tremendously physical football team. Is it much the same on film this year? What is stylistically? Tell us once again about the Cherokee County Warriors.
Well, they graduated some talent.
Yes.
And, but man, they just reloaded. So they have a dangerous team. They have size and they have speed. And as a coach, that's what you would, all of us would love to have. And you see that these guys get it. Coach Kelly does a phenomenal job there. They play hard. They've got a bevy of running backs that go in, and you can't tell a drop off from one to the next, and they're very active. You can tell they love to play football. They have a lot of support, and so they're a deadly combination for their opponents of size, speed, and team unity, and just the way they believe. And so they're definitely. It's no shock that they've been to the state championship 2 years in a row and make the runs that they make, because you can tell there's a foundation there that you don't see in very many teams.
Coach, then the game plan then tonight, then how do you attack them? How do you attack Cherokee County? Obviously, you got to take care of the football. Can't turn the football over. Time of possession, I would imagine, a big key tonight as well.
Oh, sure. We have to be able to control that clock. We need to be able to put them in positions to maybe step outside their game plan a little bit. They're very sound, and the mistakes they make are few. But that's what we've told these guys for the last several years. I mean, when you make the playoffs, you see more and more teams that make fewer and fewer mistakes. So these are things that we've grown accustomed to seeing and preparing for. We focus. I mean, we look at what the other team is doing, what Cherokee County is doing, but we're going to really spend a lot of time focusing on what we're doing to counteract that, and how do we attack them, how do we stop them. What I was most proud of our guys from last week and throughout the season, but especially last week, that they bought into the plan, they believed in it, and it was successful. And we came up short on points, but we were able to do what we had executed and practice in during the week, and just came up short on the scoreboard. But just proud of them and how they believe in the plan. So we're definitely going to have to control that clock. Turnovers, obviously, every week are a huge point of emphasis. And we had one last week. It's pretty costly. Wound up leading to a touchdown for Madison Academy. And but those things happen. And so this week they can't happen. And then in the kicking game, I mean, there's nobody on their team that I want to kick or punt to. And so we're going to do our best to have some fun in the kicking game and keep it away from those guys and keep them on their toes. And then defensively, we tackled better last week than we tackled all year, and we've been working on it every week. And so that has to be in play. We did not give up. We gave up one explosive play last week, and it's very frustrating because we missed, I think, 3 or 4 tackles on that play. and routine little out and turn into a big play. And but the rest of the game, the guys tackled great, and we kept Josh Williams under control. We didn't have a huge breakout runs on us. We made them earn their points, and quarterback, we kept him bottled up in some of their reads and option plays. And so the guys did tackle well, except for that one touchdown pass they had. And we've got to continue that tonight. It's going to be incredibly important. These guys run hard. They're downhill, and they're angry when they run the ball. So we've got to be we got to match that challenge.
No question. And I'm going to tell you what, I got fired up. And it's always great to see the old wishbone formation and watching a big lineman at fullback handle short yardage. You guys, I thought played with a lot of physicality, and you looked like a playoff team. And I certainly think you've earned this opportunity. And we certainly wish you safe travels. And I enjoyed watching that high-level game last week. And we certainly are going to be crossing our fingers and toes that we'll be talking with you next week. But we know those kids are going to lay it all on the line for you and that coaching staff. It's a great place, and we certainly thank you for taking the time out of a busy schedule. I know you had meetings this morning, but, again, good luck to you tonight, Coach, and thank you for the time.
Man, always. Thank you, guys. And I do hope I'll be talking to you next week, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe we'll be back out there to see some more. Those mattresses, man. They're flying across that basketball court.
I've never seen big guys fly on a mattress.
That was awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
I'm
you,
just
Coach.
glad nobody got hurt.
Yeah, me too. I mean, his son Bennett was doing it. I mean, he was out there. Boom.
I've seen this on videos where
I hadn't seen it.
I've seen pep
before.
rallies across the country do this, and man. My only fear is that if I would do it, I would miss the mattress.
Oh, I know. And then I'd
skid over and just
I'd break my nose or something, man, or something, or break a rib. I mean, I would probably pop the SOB. I mean, that's the first thing I thought. I was like, wow, boom.
It's just,
and then, just all of a sudden it's just flat. Like, you ain't going nowhere, man.
Oh, God.
But I hope we have an extra one.
Got a blown tire.
Exactly.
Let's get
a blown mattress.
Oh, I hate those. Let's get a break in. Talking Ball returns.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
That fog's still with us this morning. In some places, it's pretty thick, so definitely plan for a little bit of extra time on that trip in. Accident-wise, we're still all clear. By now, they should have cleared that stall also in Morgan County, 31 in Thompson. The cooler temps are coming. Don't let the temps catch you without heat. D&L Refrigeration can check your system before it's too late. Discounts for military, law enforcement, and seniors. 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
From opening night to Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans, don't miss a second of the NFL this season. Hi, this is Kurt Warner of Westwood One. Join our crew each week for the best in primetime NFL action. Monday night, Sunday night, and Thursday night football, plus marquee games on Thanksgiving, Black Friday, Christmas, and more. Westwood One is the exclusive radio home for every primetime and postseason game. It's right here.
Right here on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You want the right specialist for your recovery. At SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, we understand every body is different. Your muscles and bones are unique, as is your body. Our SportsMed specialists offer innovative treatments and minimally invasive procedures, allowing you to quickly return to the life you love. Locations in Huntsville, Madison, Athens, and Decatur, and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com. Improving performance, improving lives.
It's time to get ready for game day. That means Alabama football and tailgating. Whether you're tailgating at home or at Bryant-Denny, visit Brooks & Collier for North Alabama's largest selection of premium grills and smokers like Big Green Egg, Blaze, Delta Heat, Memphis, and Traeger. Satisfy any palate with our wall of rubs and seasonings. For all your tailgating needs, visit Brooks & Collier at 813 Meridian Street or at brooksandcollier.com. An Alabama tradition for over 75 years. Roll Tide.
Tom Luganville here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
From heirloom diamonds to contemporary jewels, Loring & Company is the place to find something truly special. Whether shopping for a diamond ring for that once-in-a-lifetime occasion or marking a milestone birthday or personal achievement with a Rolex watch, you'll find just the thing in our edit of the world's most sought-after brands, including David Yurman, Roberto Coin, Marco Bicego, and Fopay. Expect a treasure trove of the world's most unique, even breathtaking earrings, rings, necklaces, and bracelets, making choosing just one piece a challenge in itself. Loring & Company Jewelers on Airport Road.
Forgiveness. Wow, what a word. What a gift. All of us have done things in our lives that we regret. All of us have done things that are disobedient. All of us have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Thank God for his forgiveness. Thank God that he separates our sins as far as the east is from the west and remembers them no more. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor at Cross Point Church, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison. Check us out at cpcfamily.org.
And I want to spend some time with you, just the two of us. We can make it if we try, just the two of us.
See, I like that one.
Just the two of us.
Simple, easy, yet defined.
Aaron Neville?
I think so. Is that right? I believe it is. Talking Ball 97.7.
He's jacked.
ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. Hey, let's slip it in real fast. How about a little Leonard's Losers on a Friday?
He said he's calling for a big upset here.
Sports fans, this is your pal Leonard for another edition of Leonard's Loser here on 97.7 FM, your only sports radio network here in North Alabama. Last week, Percy and I went 2-1, and we hope to improve to 3-0 for this week's picks. Let's get on with this week's group of losers. Alabama at LSU. This game has always been one of the games that's decided the Southeastern Conference Championship in the West. But since there's no more East and West, it's still a big game, Percy. I see the Alabama team having a little more to play for, and Coach DeBoer will have his team playing, I think, at all cylinders. Last time Alabama had a bye, they came out and put 35 on Georgia in the first half. I see the same kind of performance on Saturday night. I don't care if it rains, sleets, or snow. That's not going to matter as the tide rolls in this one. Leonard's Loser, LSU. Georgia at Ole Miss. Now, the Georgia Bulldogs have been a surprise this year in that they have recovered well after losing to Alabama. Ole Miss last week got a big win against Arkansas, and Ole Miss fans have already started purchasing tickets for the Southeastern Conference Championship game. As Lee Corsko would say, not so fast, my friends. Because you see, Kiffin normally chokes in the big one, and he'll choke bigger. Well, he'll choke on his own popcorn for this one. I like those Bulldogs to score early and often. Leonard's Loser in a blowout. Ole Miss. Now, for my last pick, I'm going to go outside the conference, and let's look at Georgia Tech. The Rambling Wreck of Georgia Tech will be at home against those Miami undefeated Hurricanes. Now, I don't know if Drew will agree with me or not, but this is going to be my upset of the year. The Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets will upset Miami and send those Hurricanes right back down to Miami with the first loss of the year. I don't know how they're going to do it. Don't know why I'm even picking it. But our smart little pill's pointing to Atlanta, and we're going to go with that pill because it's done real good for us this year. Is that right, Percy? Leonard's Loser and a shocker, Miami. Now, until next week when we have more losers, get us out of here, Percy.
Well, it was 30 points in the first half for Alabama against Georgia. but it was a 30-7 lead.
Right.
And Alabama won the game, as we all know, in the last minute of the ball game, or a couple minutes actually, with that deep ball to Ryan Williams, and they found a way to hold on and win the football game 41-34 and get out of there. But again, I don't agree with the blowout pick. I did pick Georgia. I'd pick them, somewhere around 31-28, but I think it's going to be a really good football game. But I don't think that they'll blow Ole Miss out.
If they
Maybe
do,
wrong
it's
there.
because Lane Kiffin is going to go down. He's going to go down in a blaze of glory.
Yeah, you might go for it on 4 straight fourth downs or something like
Right.
that with his analytics, and he might burn the popcorn or
If it's
whatever.
a close loss, it's still a loss. So you might as
Yeah.
well go down swinging and going down
Yeah,
in a blaze of glory. If you lose by 1 or you lose by 20, you're still losing.
Yeah, and I remember Kirby's first year they went down there to Ole Miss and got trounced, but I just think Georgia will be ready. We'll see. They certainly were ready for Texas, and certainly people have been pointing to this game and saying and picking Ole Miss. So I think, but I like Georgia in a close one. I like Alabama in a close one, 27-24. So I think both those games are going to be great. I'm not going to go as far as Mark's going. Do I think Georgia Tech has a chance? Of course, because Miami's had to kind of escape all year, but I still would probably take the Hurricanes to win by 7-10.
256-576-4977. You can be a part of the show this morning. The biggest headline is that Billy Napier was announced yesterday that he is indeed going to be back. Scott Strickland announced it yesterday. He is going to be back next year. Florida's sticking with Billy Napier.
And Scott Strickland.
Yes. So. Staying there. Brandon is with us real fast. Good morning, Brandon.
Morning.
The Florida-Texas game is going to be very interesting.
Yeah. Especially we'll see if Lagway plays and how hard Florida can play and if they can compete against the vaunted Longhorns.
Lagway was probable on the student availability report.
I wish he'd probably go out there and throw for 350 yards and 5 touchdowns myself. That'd be my upset of the year. I would love to see Florida beat Texas.
22.5-point dogs on the road.
Yeah. You wouldn't get me to stop laughing. I would have to lead off my good and my ugly. Good for Florida, ugly for Texas.
Does Iowa score 40 against UCLA?
They should.
They should.
The head coach can't even, put a sentence together.
I would assume they could. I would think they would. But I'll just say this, and this is not your typical, and that game is tonight, by the way. This is not your typical trip out west for Iowa because it's not a Rose Bowl game, but it is in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
Iowa has had disaster after disaster after disaster historically in the Rose Bowl. Because when we'd get to the Rose Bowl, that would be, that was the biggest game. You would earn the right to get to the Rose Bowl and play in there. Heck, one year Ronnie Harmon was paid to fumble in the Rose Bowl against UCLA. Paid to fumble the damn football and cost us a game. We had a heck of a team that year. Chuck Long.
Are you saying
Ronnie
he's Stephen
Harmon.
Headache Smith?
He got paid to fumble.
To fumble.
He got paid to fumble.
Scott is saying he got FanDueled before FanDuel.
Yes.
Wow. This is a 30 for 30 special.
Paid to fumble. He related to Biden?
He had, I believe, now, according to in 87, the Big Ten did investigate, and they said that he did not fumble intentionally when he lost the ball, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times in the Rose Bowl.
Why the hell did they let him carry the ball after the second one?
He was the best back. He was freaking amazing.
I know he was a good player. I remember him, but if you fumbled twice, why the hell do you keep giving it to him? Jeez, Hayden.
Yeah.
I didn't know about that. I had no clue. So
he had fumbled. He had only fumbled once in 11 games.
Wow.
In 11 games, he only fumbled once, but fumbled 4 times in the Rose Bowl.
This is a bitter pill for Scott. 4 times in the Rose Bowl.
I remember this.
When Scott was a youth.
Oh, I remember that. that. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, this Indiana-Michigan game is one I'm interested in seeing. because
Dan thinks that's his next coach.
Well, I'm going to tell you, if Indiana wins this game, the level of expectation is going to get real high real fast.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's cautiously optimistic right now, but if he beats Michigan, there's going to be some people in the back of their mind that think they've got a chance to get to Ohio State, and they might. And, I mean, this could be a difference between this guy getting a quadruple pay raise next year. And earlier you guys were talking about, blown up beds, how horrible they were.
Yeah.
I remember WrestleMania 10, probably 93. Me and some of my idiot friends, we decided to act like we were jumping off the top ring post onto my stepbrother's waterbed. And,
no.
Oh, yeah. Flooded the house, got teetotal hell beat out of it.
Oh, no.
It was so bad. And when y'all were talking about that, it made me think about waterbeds and how certain things in life should go away and never come back.
Waterbeds is one of them. Totally agree.
My cousin used to have one. Totally overrated. Totally.
I remember the ones that were supposed to, you're supposed to fill them up with that stuff and use a black light, and they were supposed to glow in the dark, and it was an epic fail. So, yeah, when y'all said that blown up bed, that made me laugh and think about that. So.
Oh, they're fun for a few things. But
that wasn't me. I'll get blamed.
Oh, God, I love
it. All right, we got to get a break in. Brian Pasick will join us next.
And we're not going to talk about glow-in-the-dark waterbeds.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly sunny sky this afternoon, maybe a rogue shower across the Tennessee Valley, but it does look like we are going to be dry all afternoon and even as we head into the evening. Going to be another warm day, temperatures climbing into the upper 70s and lower 80s, falling into the lower 70s for Friday night football. We eventually fall into the low and mid 60s as we head into the overnight early Saturday morning. A cloudy sky with scattered showers and thunderstorms through Saturday afternoon. Temperatures going to climb into the mid 70s, dropping into the mid 60s through the overnight. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
We're still doing good this morning. Traffic moving along nicely. Haven't picked up anything new accident-wise. In fact, we made it through the morning just about accident-free. We do have some fog this morning. That one may slow you down just a bit. Shoal Scholar Dollars, Legends in Concert Series, is bringing Grammy Award winner Kathy Mattea to UNA on November 24th. Tickets are available at shoalscholardollars.com. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
If hunting and outdoor recreation are your passions, it all starts with the right property. That's where I come in. I am Bo Butler with Southland Realty and Auction, a hunting and recreational land specialist and a Jackson County native who sees land through a hunter's eyes. Just as you trust your guide on a big game hunt, you can trust me to find the perfect property for you. Thinking of selling? Let me help you make your land attract buyers. Remember, Bo knows land. Call me at 256-609-0512.
When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
And now, a man who knows what you ate for breakfast.
Time now for the biggest thinker of them all.
He knows it all. He is Drew DeArmond. Listen to Drew and Scott Theisen weekday mornings. It's Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Hey, let's go. Happy finals. Do you still? You can do it all by yourself.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. Welcome back in on what is today? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday,
Friday.
That's right.
An FNL Friday, first round of the playoffs.
It's been a good day so far, but I tell you what, coming up this weekend, there's no shortage. There's no shortage of SEC football.
Right.
We are in the thick, and I mean the thick of SEC football right now. But we also have basketball kind of inching their way into the conversation. Coming up this weekend, you got Auburn and Houston in a monster non-conference showdown. But Alabama also starting to turn some heads, and especially with their win against UNC Asheville, and they'll try to do it again tonight.
Against a familiar face, Brian Hodgson brought his team to Tuscaloosa last year and has done a remarkable job already turning that program around. Be like looking into a mirror tonight as far as play style. But certainly Alabama just several days ago was in the Rocket City for the Rocket City Classic, the exhibition against Memphis. Memphis beating Missouri earlier this week. So they beat a quality opponent. It wasn't stylistically pretty just because of the way it was officiated. There was no foul outs, but you could see the talent for the University of Alabama. And it certainly was on display Monday in their season opener, the 110-54 win over a very solid UNC Asheville team. And our next guest was on the call. He'll be on the call tonight with Chris Stewart as the University of Alabama. Or let me correct myself. I'll ask him if Chris will be on the call because he'll be in Red Stick. But I know Brian Pasick will be on the call. And he will be calling University of Alabama basketball. I believe, 21 or 22nd season for him on the network. And it's as talented an Alabama basketball team as I've ever seen. And we are honored to be joined by him on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Brian, is it 21 or 22 years you've been with the network?
This is my 22nd year.
22. There we go.
22, baby.
Yeah.
22. And it is
your old number, right?
That's right. That's right. Yes. Not many people remember that except for those that follow it closely.
Yes.
Really closely. So thank you, Drew.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been I can't believe it's been 22 years.
Wow.
It's been a blast the whole time. But especially now.
Yeah.
The Nate Oates era has been incredible. And when you don't think it could get any better, it just does. To have a sellout for the home opener, I don't remember that ever being the case. Usually you don't open up with a big name, high major team. We've had some great crowds over the years, especially in recent years for home openers. But when you have an arena as large as Coleman Coliseum, you don't necessarily expect sellouts in early November, game one against UNC Asheville, or a team out of the Big South, but that's what you got because the excitement level for this program and this team is off the charts.
Well, Brian, I mean, we knew this team could score, and we saw them score at bunches last year, going over 100 points. I mean, we saw that several times, but it's the other side of the basketball that, we still had questions on. Can they do defensively? Last year they started off slow, still had some issues, but got better as the season went along. This year, though, right out of the gates, you could tell that they've got more length. They've got a little bit more athleticism on that defensive side of the ball. And right out of the gates, though, this team playing defense.
Well, that's been a focus the entire offseason. And from a practice standpoint, from a personnel standpoint, obviously Cliff Amore has made a huge difference in that. This is a team a year ago that did not have the rim protection that Nate Oates wanted and really expected to have. I mean, I think the biggest surprise going back about a year or over a year ago now is that Charles Bediako decided to keep his name in the NBA draft. And that hurt the team from a personnel standpoint. And you just didn't have what would have been one of the top rim protectors in the country, and you lost that, and you had some good solid players around the basket, but not defensively what you wanted to be. So you add that, you add some really high caliber defensive players in the portal. Obviously the talent offensively, we know about that, but also, and I think that Mark Sears is a player who had an incredible season a year ago from an offensive standpoint, and he had his moments, especially in the NCAA tournament defensively. But that's been a focus for Mark in the offseason, is to become a more consistent player on the defensive end. That's part of the feedback he got when he put his name in the NBA draft, that he needs to get better on the defensive end and be more consistent on that end. And he's done that in practice from what I've seen over summer workouts, in fall practice. And then in the first game, I thought his defense was outstanding. So we've seen Nate Oates' teams have some of the top defenses in the country in his time in Tuscaloosa. Obviously, last year was not one of those years, but I think this year could be. Last year, Alabama led the country in scoring, one of the best offenses in the history of Alabama basketball. I think statistically it was the best offense, but I think this year has a chance to get back to what we've seen 2 out of the last 4 or 5 years, where Alabama has been in the top 3 nationally on the defensive end. And if they're anywhere near that, this will be a special year. I think those are the expectations for this team. Obviously, number 2 nationally right now in the AP and the coaches. But if they can get better on the defensive end and continue to build on that end of the floor, this team has a chance to be special.
It really does. And the thing that just is staggering for me is the depth, because I had not seen Aiden Sherrill because he had been injured and he did not play in the game in Huntsville, but it was my first time to see him on the floor. And Cliff Amore certainly lived up to what you were hoping he would on both ends of the floor. The first sequence, he blocks a shot defensively. He had 16 in the game. But I honestly did not see much drop-off with Aiden Sherrill, who won the hard hat, Brian.
Yeah, really impressive performance by Alabama big men, especially the new addition. So much expected of Cliff Amore. He did not disappoint. He was one of the most sought-after centers in the country, in the portal, exactly what Alabama needed. And Aiden Sherrill, who, you look at the recruiting rankings, I don't know where he would rank as far as the top centers that Alabama's ever signed out of high school, but he's got to be up there in the top 2 or 3 all time. I mean, he's a McDonald's All-American, a 5-star, and he played really well. He hasn't practiced in a while, and I think he's just going to get better and better once he gets in game shape. But between Amore and Sherrill, those guys played at a high level on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, and then you throw in LeBaron Philon, the other freshman. And Brian, it seems like for the last, 2, 3, 4 years maybe, we've been talking about Alabama freshmen coming in and making huge impacts. And here we go again. You got, LeBaron Philon in there at point. Another conversation with the freshman.
Yeah, this is one of the best recruiting classes in Alabama history. And they might be underrated because LeBaron Philon was ranked in the top 30, which is great, but he's better than that. He has been so good in the summer, the fall, and that's what you would hear from Alabama coaches. And Nate Oates has not been trying to hide it.
Yeah,
that he has exceeded expectations. And Philon is a really good player. We saw it in practice, we saw it in the exhibition games, and we saw it in his official debut. And going back to the defensive end, LeBaron Philon is a terrific player on both ends of the floor, one of the best freshman guards in the country, I think, on both ends of the floor, especially on the defensive end. Brings a toughness. I mean, he's a freshman, but he brings a toughness and kind of a veteran-like approach on both ends of the floor. And he's really going to help this team on both ends. And one of the things I love about Nate Oates and always have is he's not as concerned with the positions in the fact that he had 3 point guards in the game a lot with of course Mark Sears, Aiden Holloway, LeBaron Philon, and those 3 guys can play together. And he said in the past, you can't have too many guys on the floor that can dribble, pass, and shoot, make good decisions. And all 3 of those guys do that. And if you guard, you can play those 3 guys together, especially with the length you have in the front court. So the versatility of this team is really good, excellent as well. And you could play a lot of different lineups, a lot of different ways. But when you have Philon, Holloway, and Sears on the floor at the same time, this team becomes even more dangerous.
And I've got to say, after seeing him in Huntsville and then what he did this past Monday, my early vote, it's early, for most improved player is Mohamed Diabate.
Yeah, he has been really good. And he's one of those players that I think if you would have polled Alabama basketball fans on who might not be in the rotation this year,
right,
he might have been the pick.
Yeah.
But he is not the pick anymore after watching him play in the exhibition games and in the first game. And you talk about blue-collar basketball and hard hat mentality, and that's what Nate Oates preaches, and nobody exemplifies that more than Mohamed Diabate. And really, when you look at the skill set that he brings and the toughness and the versatility, he's a great fit for this team. You've got so much talent, so many guys that can go get you 25 on any given night. And Mo's not asked to do that. He's asked to rebound the ball, get on the floor for loose balls, guard, rebound, do all the little toughness things that help you win games. And he's doing that, and he's earning minutes because of it.
So the month of November does get really challenging for this Alabama team. You got 2 more games, Arkansas State, McNeese State, a couple games to really kind of still feel your way. Nate, get used to the lineup, get what he wants. But then in mid-November is when it really kind of turns, because you got games with Purdue on the horizon, games with Illinois on the horizon, then you got Houston on the horizon, all in the month of November.
This schedule is ridiculous. Last year, Alabama, number 1 strength of schedule in the country. And this year, I think, is much more difficult. And the games ahead are incredibly difficult. And listen, Arkansas State is picked to win the Sun Belt.
Yeah.
McNeese State is getting votes in the top 25, even though they lost their opener. They're picked to win the Southland. So these next 2 games, if you're not ready to play, Nate Oates said it in his press conference, these are games that if you don't play well, you'll lose. And those are the types of games he schedules. And so Alabama's got to be ready to play these next 2 games against high-quality mid-majors that are going to beat some really good teams and ranked teams. So hopefully won't be the case here in the next tonight and on Monday night against McNeese State. But as you look ahead, you mentioned all those games. I mean, it's for to have a schedule like this in November and December. I've just never seen it. Purdue, Illinois, Houston, Rutgers, and then another high major team in Las Vegas, at North Carolina, at Creighton, and mentioned the Purdue game, which I guess we're a week away from. There is not a tougher place to play in college basketball than West Lafayette. Been there. It's been, 10 or 15 years, but that is a very difficult place to play. And, oh, by the way, Purdue's really good. Picked to win the Big Ten, a Final Four team, national championship game last year. And even though they lost Zach Edey, they've got several key players back and a great recruiting class. So the schedule is not easy, but if you're looking ahead to some of those big name, more high profile games, you can slip up in these next 2. And it starts tonight against the best team in the Sun Belt and a guy that we know well in Brian Hodgson. So hopefully it'll be another great crowd, and Alabama will play well tonight.
Well, and this is how good this team is. We've only mentioned Mark Sears for about 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And have we mentioned Darion Reed, top 5 recruit in Alabama basketball history?
I know.
It's really, there's not enough time to break down all the talent that Alabama has and the depth. And listen, now is going to be interesting to see from a rotational standpoint. There are going to be players, really good players, that aren't playing the minutes that they want to play. And how do they react to that? Are they ready when called upon? So far, all the reports are good, and that, that practices and the unselfishness of this team has been really good, and that needs to continue, because there are going to be guys that could start not just for high major programs, but for top 10 caliber programs that aren't going to get the minutes that they want. And hopefully, they'll continue to compete for playing time, and the team chemistry will be what we hope it will be. I expect that to be the case, but these guys are going to be challenged in a lot of different ways because of that talent and depth. But again, there are not many better problems to have than too many good players, and Alabama's got a bunch of them right now.
No doubt. And to wrap it up, is Chris going to be on the call with you, or is he going to be in Red Stick?
He is heading to Baton Rouge later this afternoon, so he won't be in Tuscaloosa. I believe we have Gray Robertson on the call.
Nice.
And
Gray.
So looking forward to working with him. Yep. And so we're going to have a good time tonight. And yeah, Chris will be getting ready for that little old football game. Kind of a big deal tomorrow in Baton Rouge. I'm already nervous about that one. I'm gonna try to multitask and focus on basketball tonight, but then I'll definitely be turning my attentions to a absolutely enormous game in Baton Rouge tomorrow.
Well, you'll certainly hear the call on WZZN Talk Radio tonight. Alabama taking on Arkansas State. Have a great call, Brian. We appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate y'all having me.
Thanks. Arkansas State head coach Brian Hodgson having to do double duty yesterday. Their bus broke
down.
Yeah,
he repaired the bus.
He repaired the belt on the back of the bus to get them.
It's better than a water bed.
Yeah.
Wow.
Squish squash.
Oh God! Now we're gonna play Splish Splash. I was taking a bath coming back.
Oh, someone is
before Jimmy Gay or Jimmy Lay. I knew I'd do that. I did it, but it took after the season.
I did it last year too, or last week.
Jimmy Lay.
Let's get a break in.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
We almost made it through accident-free. Now we got one 231 near Monroe Road. They're checking that one for possible injury and possible entrapment. Other than that, we don't have anything on the board accident-wise. Looks like we're going to wrap up in pretty decent shape. You be careful on the rest of your trip in. No hose, no mask. You can ask Dr. Sandman, that's Dr. Sandlin, for the medically proven benefits of the Somnodent for sleep apnea and for snoring. Dr. Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Eck in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Welcome back, Talking Ball. 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Let's go out to the phone lines. Jimmy Lay is with us. I did it last week, too. Don't worry. It happens.
He'll be on the call tonight.
Find out what's on there for AL.com and Westminster, Cherokee County tonight. Good morning, Jimmy.
How you doing, man?
Hey, good morning, guys. Yeah, I tell you what, it's this season goes by quicker and quicker every year, and here we are already in the playoffs. And man, the weather is just so crazy. Usually this time of year, it's cold, man. I got to get something on my bald head when we go to these games, but not tonight. Feeling good, and just a lot of great games. I mean, you guys have talked about a few of them. I have, I've got about 4 games other than Westminster that I'll be looking at tonight. I got, I got Hartsville that I'll be looking at. Of course, I'll be getting, reports from Madison Academy at Hoax Bluff. I'll be getting stuff from, well, we'll have somebody at Austin. We'll have Skip at Austin. Fife already won. I don't know if y'all reported that.
Yeah, big
night.
one. 66-30 some over Ohatchee last night.
They, I had questions about them at the beginning of the season because they just didn't look like they usually do. But man, they poured it on. Put a big time win last week against Geraldine. So look for them to make a run. But yeah, and then Fayette County, West Morgan, Central Phoenix City at James Clemens. Man, I'd love for James Clemens to be able to have a big game tonight with them. But Westminster tonight, I'll be there. And you talk to Coach LeBlanc, and man, they just played such a tough, gritty game last week against Madison Academy. Nobody really gave them much of a chance to win, and really had a great chance. They got a bad call at the goal line last week on a touchdown. They got called back, but you know what? In the playoffs, anything can happen. Last year Priceville went to Dora and upset them in the first round.
That's right,
and really was surprising. So you really just you throw out the records, you throw out what you've already done, because none of that matters. The only thing that matters is what you do tonight, and it's just going to be a great night of high school football.
Jimmy, thanks. Safe travels tonight, and we'll check in with you tonight on
Jimmy
the
Lane, Josh
Woody
Carey on the
Anderson
call.
Ford High School Football Scoreboard Show, powered by Lake Gunnersville Ace Hardware.
And not a waterbed.
And you cannot get a waterbed at Ace Hardware. You cannot.
You can't get a knife to poke a hole, though.
You can.
Hi, folks. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, inviting you to come test drive any one of our over 100 F-150s. For